At 4:47 a.m. on January 3, 1947, Sally Snowman climbs the 76 iron steps of Boston Light for the 2,847th time in 3 years. 41 years old. Coast Guard civilian keeper. The only woman living alone on Little Brewster Island, 1 mile off the Massachusetts coast. Outside, wind gusts hit 52 knots. Inside, the lens room waits. In the next 14 minutes, she will clean 336 prisms, trim wicks, check fuel levels, and record barometric pressure before dawn breaks at 7:11. She's done this every 4 hours for 21 consecutive days. 3 more days until her relief arrives. She doesn't know it yet, but she's the last. Sally Snowman wasn't supposed to be here. Born 1906 in Weymouth, Massachusetts, daughter of a fisherman who drowned when she was 9. Raised by her mother, who took in laundry. Educated through 8th grade. Married at 19 to Robert Snowman, merchant marine, who disappeared in the North Atlantic in 1943. No body recovered. No pension, no children. She applied to the Coast Guard in 1944. Civilian lighthouse keeper position. 23 stations still manned in New England waters. The interview lasted 6 minutes. The officer, Commander Frank Pierce, asked 3 questions. Can you work alone? Can you maintain machinery? Are you afraid of storms? She answered, yes, yes, no. He hired her on the spot. Her first assignment, Deer Island Light, Boston Harbor. Automated keeper's assistant. 1 month, then Palmer Island Light in New Bedford. 4 months, then Brant Point Light on Nantucket. 11 months. Each station smaller, more remote. Each rotation longer. By late 1946, she'd worked 7 different lights. The Coast Guard noticed. Reliable. Competent. Uncomplaining. Boston Light came open in December 1946. The previous keeper, William Thompson, requested transfer after his wife died. He couldn't handle the isolation. The station needed someone immediately. Winter storms made supply runs dangerous. 3-week rotations minimum, sometimes 5 weeks if weather turned bad. 1 keeper only. No assistant. No company. Pierce called Sally on December 14th. She accepted before he finished explaining the conditions. Boston Light sits on Little Brewster Island. 1.3 acres of granite and grass. The lighthouse tower rises 89 feet. White stone with black trim. Built 1716. Destroyed by the British in 1776. Rebuilt 1783. The second oldest working lighthouse in America, the lens, a second-order Fresnel, contains 336 individual prisms arranged in panels. Each prism 4 inches high, curved to refract light into a beam visible 27 nautical miles. The signature pattern, 1 white flash every 10 seconds. Ships navigate by it. Pilots orient from it. In fog, the horn sounds every 15 seconds, a bass note that carries 8 miles. Sally arrived January 2, 1947 by Coast Guard cutter. Thompson showed her the station in 90 minutes. The tower, the oil room, the keeper's cottage, the cistern, the foghorn machinery, the radio, the logbook protocols. He left at 2:30 p.m. She watched the cutter disappear toward Boston. The cottage had 3 rooms. Bedroom. Kitchen. Sitting room with a coal stove. No electricity, kerosene lamps. A hand pump for water. The cistern held 1,200 gallons, collected from roof runoff. She rationed it carefully. 2 gallons per day for drinking and cooking. 1 gallon for washing. The Coast Guard delivered supplies every 3 weeks. Coal, kerosene, lamp oil, food staples. She ordered the same things each time. Oatmeal, canned beans, dried fish, coffee, flour, salt pork. She learned to make 1 sack of flour last 25 days. The work followed a rhythm. Every 4 hours, day and night, climb the tower. Check the light. In darkness, ensure the flame burns steady. In daylight, clean and prepare for nightfall. wind and polish the clockwork mechanism that rotates the lens. It weighs 2.5 tons, floats on a mercury bath, driven by weights descending through the tower's hollow core. Every 3 hours, crank the weights back up, 176 turns of the wheel. Foghorn duty consumed entire days. When fog rolled in, typically 4 to 7 days per month, the horn ran continuously. The compressor, a diesel engine in the basement, required constant monitoring. Fuel levels, oil pressure, cooling water temperature. It broke down twice in her first month. She rebuilt the carburetor both times using the manual and tools. Thompson left. The second time, in a February storm, she worked for 6 hours in the unheated engine room, temperature 34 degrees, until her hands stopped responding. She soaked them in lukewarm water until feeling returned, then finished the job. Weather defined everything. Winter storms hit the island with waves that cleared the 40-foot cliff. Spray coated the tower in ice. She chipped it off with a mallet, working from top to bottom, secured by a rope. The cottage shook in high winds. Roof slates loosened. She replaced them in calm periods, crawling across the wet shingles with tar and nails. Twice that first winter, waves breached the seawall and flooded the oil room. She pumped it out by hand, bucket by bucket, then dried the floor with rags and relocated supplies to higher shelves. Loneliness wasn't what she expected. The silence, yes, the absence of voices, but also the constant noise. Waned. Waves. The foghorn's pulse, the clockwork's tick, the radio's static hum. She kept it on continuously, monitoring Coast Guard channels. Most transmissions meant nothing to her. Ship traffic, weather updates, occasionally messages for Boston Light, supply dates, equipment requests. She responded in brief, professional sentences. Her voice sounded strange to her, unused for days. She established routines to mark time. Monday, wash clothes, hang them near the stove. Tuesday, inventory supplies, update requisition list. Wednesday, inspect our exterior, check for storm damage. Thursday, clean cottage thoroughly, scrub floors. Friday, bake bread, if flour remained. Saturday, oil all mechanisms, lubricate moving parts. Sunday, write letters she never sent. She kept them in a drawer. 17 letters in 3 months, addressed to her mother who died in 1938. She wrote about practical things. The weather, repairs she completed. Birds she identified. Seabirds were her primary company. Gulls, cormorants, terns, gannets. In spring, puffins arrived. She learned to distinguish individuals by behavior. One gull, larger than others, landed on her windowsill each morning at 6:15. She fed it bread scraps. It waited while she ate breakfast, then flew when she stood. This continued for 2 years. Ships passed constantly. Freighters bound for Boston. Fishing boats heading to Grand Banks. Naval vessels from the Charleston yard. She logged them dutifully. Time, direction, vessel type, flag when visible. Occasionally, ships signaled with spotlights. She responded with the station's signal lamp. Short conversations in Morse code. Mostly weather questions. Once, a freighter captain asked if she needed assistance. She replied, "All well, fair winds." He flashed back, "Same to you, keeper." The Coast Guard inspected every 6 months. The inspectors, always 2 men, arrived by cutter, stayed 4 hours, checked everything. Light mechanism. Fuel stores. Logbook entries. Structural integrity. Equipment maintenance. They found nothing deficient. Her logbook impressed them particularly. Precise, complete, organized. One inspector, Lieutenant Barnes, commented in March 1948, "Best kept station in the 1st District." He wrote it in the official report. Her relief keeper rotated monthly. Different men, mostly older, retired sailors working part-time. They arrived for her 1 week off period, maintained the light while she went ashore. She stayed in a Coast Guard boarding house in Boston, a room with 8 beds. Other keepers talked constantly about families, politics, baseball. She listened without contributing. After 3 days, she was ready to return. The noise exhausted her more than the work. By her 2nd year, the routine became automatic. Her hands knew the work without thought. Climb the stairs, trim the wicks, wind a mechanism, check the pressure gauge. She could perform every task in complete darkness. During a power failure in the radio room, December 1948, she disassembled and repaired the transmitter by touch, following the circuit diagram she'd memorized. Restoration took 7 hours. She logged it simply, radio restored 0340 hours. The Coast Guard began modernization planning in 1949. Automation technology advanced rapidly. Lights could run for weeks without human oversight. Foghorns could activate automatically when sensors detected reduced visibility. The efficiency reports showed clear savings. Civilian keepers cost $2,400 annually plus maintenance. Automated systems after initial investment cost $300 yearly. By 1951, 18 of the 23 New England stations had been automated. Only 5 remained manned. Boston Light appeared on the automation schedule in early 1952. Expected completion, July. Sally received notification in March. Her position would be eliminated. She could request reassignment to another station or accept severance pay equivalent to 6 months' salary. 2 positions remained available, both already filled. Pierce, now captain, visited her in April. He explained the situation personally. Technology was replacing people across the service. Nothing personal. She had performed admirably. The Coast Guard appreciated her service. Her record was exemplary. He could offer her a position as a clerk in the Boston office. Same pay, standard hours, pension eligible. She asked when automation would be complete. He said August, maybe September. She asked if she could stay until then. He considered this. The automated system needed 6 weeks of parallel operation for testing, human keeper monitoring while machines learned the patterns. She could do that. He authorized her to remain through final automation. August 27, 1952. The installation crew arrived at 8:30 a.m. 5 men, 2 trucks full of equipment. They worked for 6 days, running cables, mounting sensors, installing automatic lamp-changing mechanisms. The new system used electric bulbs, not oil flames. The foghorn received radar sensors. The lens rotation switched to electric motors. Everything controlled from a panel in the base of the tower. They activated the system on September 2nd at noon. Sally watched from the keeper's cottage. The lens began rotating on schedule. The light flashed correctly. 1 white flash every 10 seconds. Exact. The crew chief showed her the override switches. Manual control if needed. He explained she'd monitor for 6 weeks, then turn it over completely. She monitored for 6 weeks. The system never failed. Not once. Perfect operation. On October 15th, she made her final logbook entry. 1,800 hours. Light operating automatically. All systems nominal. Station secure. She signed it. Sally Snowman, civilian keeper, Boston Light. The Coast Guard sent a cutter on October 16th. She packed her belongings in 2 canvas bags. Clothes, books, her letters. She took nothing from the station. The crew chief offered to let her keep the logbook. She declined. It belonged to Boston Light. She accepted the clerk position. Worked 15 years in the Boston office. Filed reports. Processed requisitions. Retired in 1967 at age 61. Moved to a small apartment in Quincy. Lived there 32 years. Died in 1999 at 93. The obituary in the Boston Globe ran 4 sentences. It mentioned her lighthouse service in the 3rd sentence. Boston Light remained automated until 1989. Then, by act of Congress, it became the last permanently manned lighthouse in America. The Coast Guard assigns auxiliary members to live there, maintaining the tradition Sally Snowman helped preserve. They serve 3-week rotations, 1 week off. The cottage still stands. The tower still operates. The lens still rotates. 1 white flash every 10 seconds. Modern keepers live in the same rooms. Sally occupied. They climb the same 76 steps she climbed 2,847 times. They wind the same mechanism, though now it's ceremonial. The automatic system handles the work. Her name appears nowhere on the island. No plaque, no marker. The logbooks from her time are archived in Washington, stored in climate-controlled vaults, rarely consulted. Researchers occasionally request them for historical studies. They note her meticulous handwriting, her precise observations, her consistent routine. In 2003, the Coast Guard designated Boston Light a National Historic Landmark. The ceremony included speeches, a brass band, official photographs. No one mentioned Sally Snowman. The historian's presentation covered the 1716 construction, the Revolutionary War destruction, the 1783 rebuilding, the automation controversy, the 1989 restoration of human keepers. She existed in the records, filed between Thompson and the installation crew, 5 years, 8 months, 14 days. The last woman who lived alone in a lighthouse. The one who kept the light burning while the world automated around her. The keeper who stayed until there was nothing left to keep. At 4:47 a.m. on January 3, 1947, she climbed 76 steps for the first time as the sole keeper of Boston Light. At 6 p.m. on October 15, 1952, she descended those steps for the last time in that capacity. In between 2,847 climbs, 11,388 wick trimmings, 52,704 mechanism windings, 156 storms, 89 fog periods, 0 mechanical failures under her watch, 0 ships lost within range of her light. The numbers tell part of the story. The rest is in the silence she kept, the work she did without witness, the light she maintained in darkness, alone.